Welcome, my friends. The news today is that Disney is basically a hot mess, which really isn't news at all. Disney's wildest ride right now is the CEO suite, Iger, Chapek, and the making of an epic succession mess. There is a campaign to fire Bob Iger as the CEO of Disney. When he stepped down in 2020, the Walt Disney Company Chief Executive Officer Bob Iger stood as one of his generation's most beloved and influential CEOs. After 15 years, Iger hand-selected his replacement from within, former chairman of Parks, Experiences, and Products, Bob Chapek. But last November, the Disney board suddenly fired Bob Chapek and brought Bob Iger back as CEO for a 3-year term. And a lot has changed since then. 2 rounds of layoffs. Somewhat disappointing results for parks and movies. And a high-profile feud with Florida Governor Ron DeSantis that has resulted in the cancellation of a $1 billion Florida campus for Disney. Disney is not firing on any cylinders right now. What does this mean for Disney? What does it mean for the economy? And, what does it mean for the future of the United States? But, before we get into all of that, please press the like button and leave us a comment below. We would love to hear from you. Please subscribe and hit the bell icon so that you are notified of upcoming videos when they are released. And, before we continue, a word from the sponsor of this video. Today's sponsor is ProWorldNet.com. ProWorldNet.com is a job website specifically dedicated to licensed professions. Doctors, including any type of specialty. Nurses, and that includes all grades of nurses. Lawyers, regardless of area of legal focus. Teachers and professors, from kindergarten through graduate school. As well as any kind of job that requires a government license or certification. And ProWorld.net also includes short-term gig-type jobs as well. So, be sure to check out ProWorldNet.com if you are looking for a job or an employee. After pushing back his retirement 4 times, Bob Iger finally made the leap. On February 25, 2020, he announced he would step down as Disney's CEO. His hand-picked successor, Bob Chapek, then Disney's Parks chairman, would take over the day-to-day job of running the company, effective immediately. As part of the changing of the guard, the Disney board suggested the new CEO should take over Iger's expansive office at Disney headquarters in Burbank, California. There was just one problem. Iger had no interest in moving out. He wasn't truly leaving Disney, anyway. His succession plan allowed him to stay on as executive chairman for 22 months. Chapek would report to him and the board. Iger would also direct the company's creative endeavors, nebulous phrasing suggesting he would retain control of movie and TV content and operations. There was a practical reason Iger didn't want to move out of his office. It had a private shower, built for former CEO Michael Eisner, and a vanity for shaving. Iger, now 72, consistently woke up around 4:15 a.m. to work out and then shower. On evenings when Iger was heading out for a Disney premiere, award show or benefit, he would often take a second shower, this time in the office. Iger chose Chapek, now 64, as his successor because of Chapek's integrity and business acumen, not his interest in Hollywood socialization. Both men agreed Chapek wouldn't have much need for the office shower. Chapek would instead move into a smaller office on the same floor. On November 20, 2022, Bob Iger came out of retirement to become Disney's CEO once again. The board had fired Chapek. Within days, Iger fired Chapek's closest advisors, including his former chief of staff, Arthur Bachner, his assistant, Jackie Hart, and his de facto second-in-command, Kareem Daniel. In July, Iger extended his contract through 2026, the 5th time he has pushed back his departure as CEO. Iger, meanwhile, has told peers and colleagues he returned to Disney to correct what he sees as one of the biggest mistakes of his career, choosing Chapek. The story of the Chapek era is timeless in its own way, a case study in corporate dysfunction and succession gone wrong. As Iger and the Disney board resume their search for a successor, a critical question looms: have they learned the moral of the story? This account is based on conversations with more than 25 people who worked closely with Iger and Chapek at Disney between 2020 and 2022. Iger's decision to step down as CEO not only shocked the entertainment and media worlds, it took even his close associates by surprise. Disney's head of streaming, Kevin Mayer, whom many outsiders had pegged as Iger's likely replacement, found out minutes before Iger's public announcement. But Iger figured the timing was right. He was getting close to 70 and he'd been CEO for almost 15 years. The company's recently launched streaming service, Disney Plus, was an instant success. And Iger was convinced Chapek was the right caretaker to continue his legacy. Chapek grew up in Hammond, Indiana, the son of a World War II veteran and a working mother, as he has described it. His family took annual trips to Walt Disney World when he was young, seeding his genuine love for the company's theme parks. He studied microbiology at Indiana University and got his MBA from Michigan State University. He joined Disney in 1993 and by 2015 had risen to become chairman of the Parks Division. For more than 2 decades, Chapek earned Iger's respect as a shrewd cost-cutter and a low-drama manager. Iger especially valued Chapek for his integrity and operational expertise. At each of the divisions Chapek led at Disney, home video, consumer products and parks, profit and revenue soared under his watch. He also benefited from some good timing, running the home video division when Disney animation hits such as The Little Mermaid, Aladdin and Beauty and the Beast were first sold on VHS and piloting consumer products just as Frozen launched. Chapek cemented his reputation with Iger and the board during the construction of Shanghai Disney, the $5.5 billion theme park that opened in 2016 after months of delays. Iger and Chapek traveled to Shanghai, China, together more than 10 times as Chapek got the cost overruns and construction headaches under control. This was a striking admission for Iger, who prides himself on his emotional intelligence. He is charming with co-workers and at ease with celebrities, a Hollywood star in his own right. He convinced Steve Jobs to sell him Pixar, cajoled Ike Perlmutter into selling him Marvel, and persuaded George Lucas to sell him Star Wars and its bounty of associated intellectual property. In 2017, he struck a deal with Rupert Murdoch to buy most of Fox. The entire process of naming a successor was bumpy. For a start, Iger kept delaying his retirement. In 2013, 2014 and then twice in 2017, he renewed his contract after saying he intended to walk away. Iger agreed to buy the majority of Fox's assets in a $71 billion deal and renewed his contract as a condition of the purchase, pushing back any talk of succession. In choosing Chapek, Iger and the directors had passed over Meyer and Peter Rice, then head of Disney's TV entertainment business. However, Iger never consulted anyone who worked directly for Chapek in the run-up to naming him CEO, according to people familiar with the matter. He had pegged Chapek as someone who would accept his somewhat unusual succession plan, in which Chapek would serve both as CEO and CEO in training while Iger remained as boss and ran creative endeavors for 22 months as executive chairman. When Iger left, Disney park fans saw Chapek's previous role as a significant selling point. They hoped for higher quality experiences at Walt Disney World Resort, Disneyland Resort, and Disney parks worldwide. The new Disney CEO pleased Disney fans at first. But after years of watching Disney's falling share prices, pricey political conflict with Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, and the failure of a multi-million-dollar Star Wars hotel, even Mr. Iger himself couldn't ignore the media fiasco surrounding his protege. He returned as Disney's CEO for another 3 years. Despite normally attending company meetings, media interviews, and shareholder calls, Bob Chapek was removed from his position as Disney's CEO on the evening of Sunday, November 20, 2022. The Walt Disney Company has remained mostly silent about the ousted executive, who continues making millions in severance from the company in silence. The Disney CEO promised to complete his 3-year term but said he would choose a replacement. How has Disney CEO Bob Iger performed since his return? Here's what real fans had to say. Walt Disney Animation Studios, Walt Disney World Resort, Disneyland Resort, Marvel, and more have come a long way since Robert Iger replaced Mikel Eisner in 2000. With 15 years under his belt, some Disney park fans feel he is the one to bring the Walt Disney Company back from its struggles under Chapek. Weeks after Iger's return, Walt Disney World Resort changed its unpopular park hopping rules. Guests can now switch parks at 11 a.m. instead of 2 p.m. Park pass reservations are only required for certain guests on certain days and will all but disappear this summer. And the popular Disney dining plan will make a comeback in 2024. Less has changed at Disneyland Resort, though fans can also park hop at 11 a.m. instead of 1 p.m. but some fans don't mind and blame other executives like Chairman of Parks and Resorts Josh D'Amaro. Despite positive changes, most Disney park and film fans are disappointed with Iger's recent decisions. For many, the changes, or lack thereof, aren't enough. Some went so far as to ask the Disney CEO to resign immediately. Basically, every week seems to bring some new wave of bad news about Disney. Disney has abandoned plans to open up a new employee campus in Lake Nona, Florida, amid rising tensions with the state's governor. The campus was originally slated to open in 2022 to 2023, but was later delayed to 2026. Disney's announcement comes amid a bitter feud between the company and Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. Iger has publicly lambasted DeSantis and the Florida government, noting that Disney has created thousands of indirect jobs, brings around 50 million visitors to Florida every year, and is the state's largest taxpayer. As you know if you follow this channel, Disney has announced thousands of layoffs. The latest layoffs were initially announced in February and will impact about 7,000 employees, according to a memo sent by Iger. The job cuts will be cross-company, hitting Disney's media and distribution division, parks and resorts, and ESPN. Since returning as CEO, Iger has reorganized the company and acknowledged that he'd consider selling Hulu. As you probably already heard, other large media and entertainment companies have made job cuts this year. But have you checked entry prices to Disney theme parks lately? They are sky high. And I really wonder whether they are pricing out average American families. But, what do you think? Please leave us a comment below and hit the like button. We would love to hear from you. Please subscribe and hit the bell icon so that you are notified of upcoming videos when they are released. Please share this video on social media. Thank you for watching.